Well, I guess I want to start this video with letting you know what we're doing today. So I've done some framing. Already installed the kitchen cabinetry here in the bathroom. This is a small project for me, but I do this size pretty often, and this will be my final lap. This will be the last round here on this kitchen and bath. And I'm going to set the cabinetry. I'm going to put a grab bar in the shower. I'm going to put the toilet paper holder up. I'm going to show you some laminate shims. Those are my favorite. I'm going to put the towel bar up, put on some door and drawer pulls, do some fine adjustments, just go over everything with a fine-tooth comb. But I want to take a second. No, actually, I want to take the majority of this video, which it looks like it's 25 minutes. And I'll tell you what, I'm a yapper. I talk way too much. There's a couple of my friends, they're like, every time I start to tell them a little story, they look at their watch and like, oh my God, how long is this going to take? And, but I love to talk. I'm not really familiar with putting YouTube videos together. What I do is what you see in these videos. That's what I'm pretty darn good at. I mean, some days, it probably looks like I struggle. It seems like I struggle. But I've been doing this my entire life since my dad could con me into dragging his tools around for him. This industry, this career has taken me everywhere, from Boston to Honolulu and darn near every major city in between. And in my region where I live here in Michigan, I've worked for some of the wealthiest people in the country, maybe even the world. And I've gotten to a point in my life where it'd be nice to have an assistant, a couple of employees. But that is everything I do. I don't think it's that difficult, but I think that many people would be intimidated by getting into this industry. If they're young, I think our society, it has so many easy buttons, just everywhere. I say, hey, we need to dig a little ditch from here to there, and they're like, isn't there an app for that? Our young people, I'm very concerned about the next generation of tradespeople, be it male, female. It doesn't matter. I'm very concerned. The work ethic, and it's not their fault. I'm not trying to seek out ways to insult our youth here. I'm actually looking to figure out a way to make a good impact, because what my career has given me, oh my gosh, it's brought me so much joy. So many different accomplishments and successes and assets. I'm not a rich man. I'm not, financially wealthy or anything like that, but I've acquired a lot, and I live well. I'm very happy. And I look at our youth and I go, are you even going to get a piece of this little slice of heaven that I have going on? And I think they look at carpentry or any other trade, and they here I'm pointing out some things I'd really like to discuss here in this video. Don't over tighten that hole saw onto that arbor, because you will regret it. There's trunnions on the side of that will fit in the holes in the backside of the hole saw. Anyway, let's move along with what I was talking about. See, I am long-winded. I'd like to figure out a way through my videos to highlight my mistakes, highlight some successes, maybe to inspire young people. I'm not tall, dark, or handsome. I'm not over the top intelligent. I'm far from being an academic powerhouse. But what I am is happy. And I try hard. I work hard. I'm very engaged and interested in what I do for a living. But I'm concerned. I'm concerned that our youth looks at, I don't know, their future. I mean, when I was in high school, and I graduated in this little town in Western Michigan, and I thought I had a plan, and you know what? That plan just didn't work out at all. School and me were like oil and water. We just didn't mix. And I had to make some choices, and and I'm so glad that I don't know if I chose this. It was actually more I just had to survive, and I grabbed a hold of my end of the industry, which is more finishing, finished carpentry, the installation, fabrication, designing of architectural millwork and cabinetry. Don't get me wrong, I'll frame in a basement, and I'm going to show some videos on different aspects. I've gotten into quite a bit of everything: roofing, siding, building decks, a little bit of framing, enough to get by and be familiar with, the building industry. I'm a licensed builder, and so, but this is my favorite. When it's cold outside, I'm warm. When it's hot outside, I'm cool. When it's raining, I'm dry. But I tell you what, the most difficult part of what I do is I got to do it alone. I'd love to hire a couple of young people that were engaged. They want to learn. They have a work ethic. Some of our young people, I tell you what, they work harder at figuring out ways to not be there, not showing up. And again, I'm not sure it's their fault. I think it's how we raise our kids. I think we have modern conveniences, easy buttons, I call them, all over the place, electronics. There's accountability issues. There are things happening where there's virtually no inconvenience. People are quite satisfied with just living online, on a computer, on their tablets, on their phone. And to get out of that comfort zone and actually go and learn a trade like what I'm trying to teach, it's tough, because there's a lot of guys out there like me, around my age, maybe a little bit older, and they just don't have the patience for it. They don't have the patience for lackluster enthusiasm, the disconnect that our youth has with, a work ethic and being committed to, working 8, 10, 12 hours. And I'm thinking back when I was 19 years old. In fact, this is why people say I'm long-winded, but I was 19 years old, and I was in Hawaii with my dad, and we were doing a project, and we used to do luxury retail spaces, and we were working in a particular mall, and there was no way to get a semi to the entrance, so we had to offload it onto a flatbed truck, like a steak truck. And my dad was working on the inside of the store, and I was responsible to offload everything from that semi truck onto the flatbed, and I had 3 or 4 guys that were 40, 50 years old, and they were answering to me. I was calling the shots. I was making sure that precious cargo that had made it from the continental United States to Hawaii didn't get damaged. It was a big responsibility. I couldn't fathom handing that responsibility to any young person right now. Like, I'm going to turn my back and I'll be inside the store and entrust you with this precious cargo that's the size of, just all these pieces packaged really well in shipping containers. There's no way. I'm too much of a control freak, I think. But these days, guys like me don't have a lot of patience. I mean, I happen to have a lot of patience. I think I'm a nice person. I probably overpay people. I try not to put anyone in a position that they can't handle. But there's not a lot of people out there that have the patience to say, hey, I'd like to see you go from the position you're at now to being really good at what you do. And I'd like to take the time to spend with you to see what that's going to take. People don't want to do that anymore. And though I've made numerous attempts to take some time, talk to a young person and say, hey, here's how it goes. Here's the playbook. Here's how you get out of mistakes. Here's how you solve some problems. Here's how you think outside of the box. Here's how I see things being built and constructed and installed. Here's how you carry yourself in the home of somebody that you're working for that's, maybe keeping you on edge. They make you a little nervous. They're a little OCD and they're a little demanding. Or, you're working on white marble or white carpeting or, some sort of an exotic hardwood flooring that's got a brand new finish on it. How do you protect those building elements from damage when you're working on them? And so to kind of shore this up a little bit and get more into this video, because I tell you what, I'm missing so many details. I want to share with you guys how I do things. I want to make an impact on our youth, and my plan is to, and my intention is to create some videos that kind of like I'm showing some screws. Here's why I use different types of screws. Some screws are better than others. There's a variety of different fasteners, and I want you to know about all of them so that the step-by-step, the play-by-play when you're out there installing or you're building. I want to create some video content that will help you understand why you're tired at work, why you don't look forward to being there, why you have, maybe you feel vulnerable, maybe you feel threatened because you don't really speak math, you don't speak tools, you don't speak personal discipline, you don't know how to arrive at setting a cabinet and have it sit there accurately, not all twisted up, how you go about, precautionary ways of, cutting something so you don't damage something. Everyone's afraid of making mistakes. And I tell you, since guys like me out there, they don't have the patience to train, and then you make a mistake and then they're mad at you, they're yelling at you, there's in some cases screaming at you. No one's going to stand around, wanting to come back to work in an atmosphere like that. So I want to provide an open book and show some tricks and some methods on how I go about doing things. And, most times I think I have a really good sense of humor. I want to make videos fun. But I'm so focused on the details. I'm going to try to, over time, and insert some fun content instead of just crazy accurate ways of installing a grab bar or what's the best drill bit and why you need to have a little cup of water while you're drilling through ceramic tile. There's my little cup of water. It's actually the lid to a super glue activator, and that's just my go-to little cup, so I don't have to bring a mixing cup. But I stuff that full of paper towel. I put water in it, and I wet down this paper towel, and that's how I keep my bits cool. So I'm a big fan of these masonry bits. You go to the home center, and I like this 5/16. That way, if I need something to, like this, in this case, the grab bar, if it's got to adjust to the left or right a little bit, you've got to be deadly accurate. No tile guy is going to be your friend if you drill through the wrong tile or you damage something. So I try to give myself a little bit of wiggle room without going too big. Minutes ago, I actually showed a picture. I know where the framing is. I purposely put blocking behind this tile, and I took pictures of it. And not just pictures of the blocking, but I also wrote with a Sharpie the dimension from the rough floor. So I had some range because I want to run screws into solid lumber whenever possible. So I really try to set myself up for success. This particular masonry bit has got a relief. It's a hollow tube, and the very tip of it is round. There's not a center. So the whole bit is hollow, but it's got a little relief valve, so to speak. And you got to make sure that you clear all of that, masonry dust out of there. And you'll have to do that on every hole. And what I like to do is I like to just keep a cheap, dull 1/8" drill bit and clear it out. Sometimes it has a hard time starting because it's so dull. And I'll just take my Leatherman and I'll poke the tip of it in there, just the tip. See a little bit of funny here, and then clear the tube. Oh, that's the most annoying sound, isn't it? Oh my gosh! For hours, it seems like I hear that sound. I just wanted you to have a little taste of how annoying that is. Ear protection would be helpful, but since I've never really used ear protection, I can't hear anything anyway. Anyway, now it's on to the grab bar was damaged in the package, and the builder he's got to get a new one, so I didn't install the one that I had. I went ahead and drilled the holes for him, and now I'm on to the other hardware. I'm doing a toilet paper holder here. They came with longer screws. I like these. They're hinge screws. They're 5/8 of an inch long, and they've got a really aggressive thread, because I don't want that to pull out of the side of that, the sidewall of that cabinet. And at the same time, I didn't want it to poke through the other side. If it does, I didn't want it to be too much. It does poke through the other side slightly. It leaves just a small, sharp little point that nobody will grab because of the location of it. But these, there's a variety of different quality. There's different qualities to these pieces of hardware, and sometimes you just got to bend them a little bit. There's a little point on the bottom of this hardware at the end of a set screw that engages with that piece of metal. I just twisted up, and it was engaging on the front of it, not the back side of it, so I had to bend it a little bit. You're going to have to do that from time to time because they don't machine them perfectly every time. Some of the higher quality and really expensive hardware, I think they do a little better job. Sometimes they overcomplicate things too. Thank you, engineering world. Not a fan of engineers necessarily. Some are better than others, but they're a special type. Anyway, let's move on. I'm putting on a towel bar now. It's the same way that I put on the toilet paper holder. Only thing is, it's a 2-foot towel bar. So if your studs are 16 on center, you get one, and the other one, you're gonna have to figure out a way to hang a towel on a towel rod without, over time, it busting through the drywall and just coming off the wall. So in other videos, I go in pretty deep on, and I think it's important, have an array of anchors and toggles, because you can, otherwise this is going to be a trip to the store. I have different size toggles, different size anchors. I have a huge variety of them because I don't like, when I show up to the job site, When I leave, it's to go home. I don't want a bunch of trips back and forth to the home center. That doesn't make me a dime. So in this case, there's no getting around it. In the preliminary stages, when I come in, I do a little bit of framing. I put blocking or whatever. That was the existing drywall, so I didn't really have a choice there. And otherwise, I would have absolutely blocked that wall up for the towel bar. So you're going to drill 2 holes. In this case, I'm just talking about this particular scenario, what I'm up against. You're going to have to drill 2 holes. One toggle will hold it up. Fine, no problem. But for the little set screw that engages with the hardware itself on the bottom side that you use an Allen wrench to tighten, it's going to be a little too sloppy. So you got to have one at the top and the bottom. And when I put the little wings, little flappy wings on that toggle bolt, I make sure that it passes through the drywall and then it engages or it swings out. Otherwise, you got to use your knife or you got to hold it out. If that toggle is spinning around in that wall cavity for 3 inches, you could lose it. It'll spin off the wrong way, and nobody likes that. It'll be a little propeller in there that'll fall off. On this side, of course, I had 1 stud, and I got lucky here. It's exactly the location. The homeowner wanted the towel bar center between when the door is all the way open and the shower tile itself. And lo and behold, I got really lucky. It was kind of weird how lucky I got. That I was able to at least have one side in a solid stud. I had problems with this side as well, where I had to, take the little flange off. I had to take the towel bar off. I had to take the little flange, and I bent it in place with my Leatherman to allow the set screw, the sharp point of it, to engage properly. And then I went ahead and continued installing the towel bar. Little things along the way can cost you a lot of time, frustration. But I guess, the point here is, will that toggle hold it while I bend the flange up a little bit with my Leatherman? The answer is yes. Whenever I'm done there, the walls haven't been painted yet, I'll tape the Allen wrench for the set screw onto the hardware so the painter can remove it. Whenever there's a threshold in a new bathroom that's been tiled, there always seems to be a case where you got to cut the bottom of the door off. And lo and behold, I get all set up. I measure the hinge, the bottom of the hinge on the jamb to the threshold. And lo and behold, I didn't have to get the door out or anything. I just needed to set the hinge pins. This here is a really important little detail that I do. The countertop guy, the stone guys, they, for whatever reason, they always like me to cut the sinkhole, and they're like, make it as big as possible. So I do. But whenever you're cutting the sinkhole out, it can fall down and hit a water pipe. Watch out how it's constructed. There's normally pocket screws there. I removed those so I didn't cut through it. Anyway, I'm going to take a block on one side, a block on the other, and just run a screw into the cutout piece. It's going to drop. It's going to hit the bottom of that cabinet, or hopefully not a pipe, but it can. And that way, when you're done cutting, you can just lift it up and it doesn't fall down into that cavity, because it could hit one of those pipes. And if that's the case, somebody's getting a shower. Nobody likes that, more especially the homeowner. They do not want you showering in their new vanity. A little side note here, you should always know where the water shutoff is, just in case you have a ruptured pipe. Accidents happen. And it makes you look kind of smart. You walk in and they're wanting to talk about cabinetry, and you go, where's your shutoff for your water? And you're like, why? Like, because I want to make sure if we have a ruptured pipe or some mistake happens, I can get to it as quickly as possible. I'm like, oh man, yeah, well, all of our possessions are in front of it. So, let's clear that out and make sure that if in the event that happens, you have a way to get to it quickly. So we're just about done here. The bathroom door is on. I put all the hardware, towel bars, toilet paper holders, drawer pulls, door pulls. Went through and adjusted everything. This is the kitchen. Today, I didn't want to bore you with putting on all the hardware, except I like to, it seems like one of the most time-consuming things is unwrapping all of that stuff. So I like to get everything in a line, in a row, and just go to town, get rid of the packaging quickly in a box that's down on the floor. And then I go through and I tighten everything. I take a last good look around and make sure everything is straight, not crooked. Everything, the doors are adjusted, the drawers are adjusted, and this myth is busted. We're done.